Today we're going to go over how to read a coordinate plane, then you'll have a chance to practice on your own. Let's get started by looking at this coordinate plane. We call the line on the bottom the x-axis, and we call the line moving up and down the y-axis. So let's say you have a point right here. We'll call this point A. We need to figure out how to describe where point A is. Well, when you write coordinates, you always write them inside of parentheses. You always start with your x-coordinate, or how far over your point is on the x-axis. After that, you write your y-coordinate, which is how far up or down the point is on your y-axis. To help you remember, you can always think that you first move over, then up. So for point A, let's draw our parentheses and think about how far over it is. To figure this out, you can draw a line connecting A to the x-axis. We can see that it's 3 over. It has an x-coordinate of 3. Next, we can draw another line connecting A to the y-axis. This shows us that A is 6 up. We can say A has a y-coordinate of 6. Altogether, you could say that A is at the coordinates 3, 6. Let's look at another point B. To find the coordinates of point B, we're first going to draw a line connecting B to the x-axis. We can see that B is 7 over. It has an x-coordinate of 7. Next, we'll draw a line connecting it to the y-axis. This shows that point B is 4 up, so it has a y-coordinate of 4. Altogether, point B is at 7, 4. Let's look at one more point C. To write the coordinates of point C, we first draw a line down to connect it to the x-axis. It's at an x of 6. We can say it has an x-coordinate of 6. Next, we draw a line and can see that it's at 8 on the y-axis. So it has a y-coordinate of 8. Now let's do some of these together. Let's look at this coordinate plane and this point, which we'll call point A. Now remember that when you write coordinates, it's always the x and then the y. So for point A, what is its x-coordinate? Well, remember that the x-coordinate measures how far over a point is. So we can see point A and measure it is 8 over on the x-axis. It has an x-coordinate of 8. Next, we want to find the y-coordinate. What is the y-coordinate of point A? Well, if we draw a line, we can see point A is 2 up. So its y-coordinate is 2. Point A is at 8, 2. Let's look at another point B. To start with, what is the x-coordinate of point B? Well, we can draw a line to see that point B is 7 over on the x-axis. It has an x-coordinate of 7. Next, what is the y-coordinate of point B? Well, if you draw a line, you can see point B is 9 up, so it has a y-coordinate of 9. Altogether, we read that point B is at coordinates 7, 9. Now this last point is going to be a little tricky. We'll put it right here and call it point C. Just like the others, let's start with the x-coordinate. How far over is point C? Well, you don't even need to draw a line, but you can see that point C is 3 over. It has an x-coordinate of 3. But now for its y-coordinate. Well, if you think of drawing a line from C, we realize that it reaches right to the bottom of the graph. Even though it's not written in right now, we can tell that this is at coordinate 0. We say this point has a y-coordinate of 0. So altogether, we read that point C is at 3, 0. Now it's time for you to practice some of these on your own. Here's a coordinate plane, and we're going to start with this point A. What are the coordinates of point A? Well, if you connect point A to the x-axis, you see that it's 9 over. Point A has an x-coordinate of 9. Then, if you connect it to the y-axis, you see that it's 1 up, so it has a y-coordinate of 1. Point A is at 9, 1. What about this point B? What are the coordinates of point B? Well, point B is 8 over. It has an x-coordinate of 8. Next, point B is 5 up, so it has a y-coordinate of 5. Point B is at 8, 5. Here's another one. Point C. What are the coordinates of point C? Well, if you connect point C, you can see that it's 4 over. It has an x-coordinate of 4. Then, if you connect it to the y-axis, you see it has a y-coordinate of 4. So point C is at 4, 4. And here's your last point for today. We'll call it point D. What are the coordinates of point D? Well, point D, you can see is 5 over. It has an x-coordinate of 5. Next, we can see that it's 6 up. It has a y-coordinate of 6. Point D is at 5, 6. So from today, remember, points on a coordinate plane are always read as how far over, then how far up. And this is an x, then a y inside of parentheses.